solution need from current state to future state. So once the future state we are done with the transition requirement is null. Transition requirement is not valid. We are not going to reuse the transition requirement. We have to create a new transition requirement. This is maybe because of system constraint, maybe because of development constraint, maybe because of testing constraint, maybe because of any constraint. But we're not going to use that transition requirement again. But we will be using business requirement, we will be using stakeholder requirement, we will be using solution requirement. We will be reusing all these requirements except transition. Now I'm going to take a break and see if you guys have any question. You can unmute yourself and ask question. If you can't unmute yourself, or if you are having issues with the mic or something, feel free to type it in. I'll read your question to the whole class and then I'll answer it.
Hello?
Yes.
There is an error where I'm unable to actually type it in the chat.
Okay.
For some reason, somebody named R, I cannot type anything in there. So I guess there's something going on with that. But I had a question regarding, well, I know the stakeholder is the owner, which is the client. But you mentioned something about, the, goodness gracious, the hire something. And I was like, well, what is that? It's the same as the stakeholder is the client, but you said or, well, you didn't say and or, but I was a bit confused about it. But I guess I answered my own question. I'm sorry for the rhetorical question, but I forgot the other one that you mentioned. But I know that the stakeholder is the client, which is the owner. It was early on before the transition requirement and classification. No. Well, I know the stakeholder requirement. That's the client. That's the owner. But you mentioned something else, but it wasn't in the actual. It was a verbal. It wasn't in the notes. But you said I forgot, and I was trying to type it in, and I didn't want to interrupt the class because I'm constrained here. There's a constraint here, and I'm unable to type it in here. I would prefer to type it in because I do not want to interrupt your class.
No, that's fine. Maybe your question is similar to someone else, but that's fine. I mean, when I'm stopping, I want you guys to ask questions. That's fine. You know.
I'm gonna mute myself now. Be quiet.
Let me roll it back. I know you were saying stakeholder is a requirement from client. All these requirements are from client, but we have categorized in such a way that basically, when we are trying to build a building, right, we'll try to build a base. That base is our business requirement. Then we will go, okay, how many floors I need, this, that we will take it to the stakeholder requirement. Once that part is done, then we will say, okay, I need a sliding door, I need a window, I need this kind of window. That is a solution requirement, functional and non-functional. In order to do a transition, suppose you are renting an apartment, now you're moving to a building, right? Whatever the equipment you need from your rent to your new home, that is a transition requirement. Once your transition is complete, that equipment is no longer needed. So these are the four structures of the requirement. But all these requirements are from stakeholders. Stakeholder means are from client.
Hello?